Video number 3 of the restoration of chassis number 3, Lola T190. Yeah, it's been 2 years almost, as September of 2008 was the last time I posted my last video. As you can see, I've done a lot since then. No thanks to the economy. I'm sure we all had problems, but here we are. I've actually got the front nose fitted on now. Got the radiators in correctly with the correct cooling for the engine, oil, and also all of my plumbing and gauges are installed. All the suspension pieces that I made have been installed. Also made my tanks, the one on the back. The reservoir tank on the right was made by myself. The one on the left, my good friend Bill Moore. Also, you could see I've got the cooling lines for the transmission. Transmission's been hollowed out. All the parts, luckily, internally on the transmission, look beautiful. As you can see, also I made the correct brackets that Lola would have had made back in 1970, and they are also nickel bronze braze welded, as they would have done back in England. And I made the catch tank a little bit larger than original. Just wanted to be safer than sorry. Here's the other side of the front nose piece that I had installed. Once this piece here had holes cut in it, so you can actually get to the reservoirs that were for the incorrect master cylinders for the brakes. If you want to see more extensive photos of this restoration, I have them on my webpage. Feel free to visit www.advintagemotors.com. I was able to locate the correct reservoirs thanks to Moss Motors. They actually are older Austin Healey 3000 series master cylinders. You can see all the hard lines that I fabricated and got into place correctly. Some of my plumbing. The only piece that is missing now is the oil cooler mount, or I'm sorry, not oil cooler, but I mean oil filter, which goes there. That's being machined up by Bill Moore as well. I was also able to get a correct Jones tack and Stuart Warner classic gauges, and I plumbed in the actual hardline mechanical ones. Also, my vents for the tanks have been installed, and tank caps. Now, let me show you what we got behind here. This took a lot of work. All fuel injection has been plumbed and ready to go. I've also got my dry sump plumbed in, and my oil cooler lines mounted correctly, thanks to photos from Tom Ratzlaff. He was one of the mechanics on the car originally back in 1970. He sent me extensive photos on the car. I've also been talking to Ron Grable himself, and he's been a great help as well. You can see the reservoir tank for the radiator, which I fabricated. The only thing so far that's not correct on the car would be the fuel injection manifold itself. As you can see, I have extensive plumbing that I had to do to try to get this to work with this car. But later down the road, maybe I'll be able to come across a Lucas system or something that was on this car originally back in the day. But for now, it looks good from far. There's our fuel injection pump, which is the Mark II, which was run back in 1970. I also was able to find a couple junkyard valve covers that came off of a 350, 1970. They're in pretty poor shape, but they are what was run on this car originally. And if anyone has a better set, feel free to send me an email, and you can get them, make a donation towards the car, I guess. Just showing a different side, some of the looks. I know I've showed you the cooling lines for the radiator that I had made, but as I got photos from Tom, I noticed that these were actually longer and a little more detailed, so I duplicated them. Also, as you can see in here, how I brought them up all the way to the front and minimized my rubber hoses. Also, per Tom, I was told that there was a heating problem on the fuel pressure side, so I went ahead and insulated all my fuel injection lines that went across the engine block. He told me that they had a starting problem once the engine got warm. So thanks again, Tom Ratzlaff, for all your help. Also wanted to show that the Girling calipers have been completely rebuilt by myself. New seals, new pistons. Went through them quite extensively. I redid the crossover lines from side to side out of stainless, and everything is British correct. Also got new rotors for the discs. The original rotors had been different thicknesses on all four. Well, I took the thickest one and was told that that one there was unmolested. So I had that duplicated and also had directional and vapor slots put on the new discs. I also installed the shift linkage and have it working correctly. Also safety wired all the pieces in and got all the bushings in correctly, so there is no play. I did notice one thing once I got the car on the table and put together. When I was starting to work on wing mounts, this one here is out of degree compared to this one over here. I don't know if you can see that. This one here lays flat, and this one kind of goes up into the air. That was my first indication that we had a problem with the rear subframe. Then once I started looking at the table, you could notice that the mount on the rear inner radius arm, which is level with the sway bar over here, and you look over here, it's under the sway bar. We've got about a ½ inch discrepancy between the sides. So now, after I'm all done with the plumbing, which I am as of today, I'm going to go ahead and mount this fiberglass body on the car and get it to fit me. And then after that is done, the whole unit gets torn apart once again, and I get the jig up and make this rear subframe. So that'll probably be my next video, showing the jigs and whatnot that I had to do to make this subframe piece. Also, I did get my competition license using this Polaris 1972, so I'm ready to race. And that's my first attempt at what I call Grable green. I think it needs to be just a tinge darker. What do you guys think? And thanks to my two girls for being very quiet during the video. Say hi. Alright, so next time I will work on getting the fiberglass body and then on the subframe. And once the subframe is done, the fun stuff begins. We start building the engine and transmission, and I'll show the engine on the engine dyno once we have that finished. Alright, well, thanks for staying with me, and I know it's been a long time, but we will get her done. Alright, have a good one.